The mountainside is a mass of tents, pockmarked with illegal mining shafts and mounds of dead grey soil. The forest which was once here is now long gone and unlikely ever to return. Instead, there are men like Ali doing probably the most dangerous job in Madagascar today. They are desperate men, turning to desperate ways to survive. He and his team have dug this tunnel out by hand. The flimsy plastic tube alongside him is taking the only air that will keep them alive down here. Within seconds, the surface and safety, as well as light, is left behind him. It's jet black without his head torch. He has no protective gear at all and is inching his way down in his bare feet. It takes him a full 2 minutes to be lowered down the tunnel. He and his 2 other friends are now more than 70 meters down, crawling in a space just big enough to take them without a support beam in sight. They're digging for gems, which they hope will change their lives forever and haul them out of poverty. Trouble is, the last time they found anything of any note was 8 months ago. A piece of beryl they sold for 2 million ariary, about $500, split amongst the team of 7. Not exactly the fortune they're dreaming of. Above ground, Lux is in charge of the most important job. His main task is ensuring air's pumped continuously down the shaft. But they're working with crude, inadequate material. And Ali's not down there long before the vital airbag splits.
What's happened? Is it broken?
Yeah, it's broken.
Now, for sure, he'll be having trouble breathing, his colleague tells us, as the team tries to patch together the lifeline with tape. Underground, the break in the air supply is rapidly noticed. But the lack of panic seems to indicate this is a fairly regular, potentially deadly hazard. They often pass out down here, but it doesn't put them off. Air restored, and they resume digging for their dreams. What I'm looking for is here, Yves says. Be brave, Ali tells him. I'm always brave with my work, his friend replies. All around them, there's equally risky but continuous activity. Around 6,000 people are working here alone. All this spawns a multi-million-dollar smuggling racket and black market in Madagascar, little of which makes its way into these miners' pockets, but which massively contributes to deforestation, affects wildlife and weather patterns, as well as the climate. This is just one illegal encampment in one part of the country. There are an estimated 500,000 people who are taking part in illegal mining. If you look here, you can see it goes on for some distance. That would make it the second biggest employer in the whole of Madagascar, and more people are being driven into it because of poverty. And of course, that has a big impact on the habitat. The miners are strikingly positive, despite their lack of success. And the frayed equipment they rely on doesn't seem to influence their nerves. Ali and his crew are unperturbed by the dangers or the impact on their homeland's precious environment. Any laws preventing this illegal mining are unenforced.
How was it, Ali?
They've all spent all their lives doing this and say they've no alternative. I'm not afraid at all, he says. I'm used to this work. I make my living out of it, and I'm not afraid. But the forests are coming down at an unrelenting pace in this, one of the most biodiverse nations on Earth. This logger told us he expected to bring down 100 trees that day, and he's in a team of 10. The trees are used for firewood, for cooking and selling, as well as making way for illegal mining. But every loss of every tree adds carbon dioxide to the air, affecting the climate and endangering wildlife. And again, poverty is the driver. Robert will make $10 today, 5 times more than most of his fellow citizens, the bulk of whom are living below the poverty line. Back at the illegal mining site, a gem buyer is driving a hard bargain.
Like Miss Bill, no good.
There's a crack in it, he says. This group of families have been working 5 months to collect this amount of beryl. The gem buyer offers 5,000 ari. There's nothing good here, he says. But Fama in the lime green shirt is disgusted. He's got 15 relatives to feed. He's being offered just over $1 for months of work. He's not selling today. The gem buyer shows us what he considers good quality precious beryl gems. He reckons he'll get $25 for all this, a fraction of what they'll fetch when they're turned into rings or earrings, and at an enormous cost to Madagascar's unique environment. Alex Crawford, Sky News in Madagascar.